Here we are on the front of our Keystone Sprinter 3810 QBS. We're going to be doing a technical walkthrough on this unit, going over some of the components on it, giving you a little bit of idea on operation, how they work, how they should work, and a couple of little tips and tricks along the way. Now, your unit may vary with the type of component that's on this unit. If you want more information on those components or other components, you can find that under the playlist for Hap's Helpful Hacks on our Great American RV YouTube channel. We're going to start up front here. We have our 7-way plug. This will plug into your truck and it will transfer your blinkers, your brake lights, all that stuff over to your trailer, as well as have a battery charge line that runs through it to charge your battery while you're traveling down the road. You also have your brake controller in your truck. It'll transfer that brake control signal to your trailer so the brakes will activate. Now, speaking of the brakes, we do have our breakaway box right here. This breakaway box is a safety feature. We have this breakaway cable attached to it. Your breakaway cable has that loop on the end. It should be hooked to the rails on your fifth wheel hitch. That way, if anything were to happen to hit the hitch head or any of this and it breaks away, it's designed for this pin to pull out of this box and it will emit the 12 volts to the brakes and activate the brakes on the trailer and bring it to a stop. Now, this is only going to happen if we have a good 12-volt battery in our unit. If we don't, this is not going to be active whenever it's called to duty. Now, we also want to make sure that this pin is always inserted in this box completely. Otherwise, it can unwantedly activate your brakes while you're traveling down the road. So always check that before you hit the road. Here in our front storage compartment, we'll start up top with our smart solar charge controller. We do have solar panels on our unit. This power comes from the solar panels to our charge controller and converts that energy to charging power for our batteries. If we ever want to disconnect that solar panel system, we can use this disconnect right here and turn that system off. Over to the right, we have our Lippert Tire Link prep cover. If we take that off and we purchase the Tire Link system, we'll have sensors and a transmitter that goes right here. This system is pre-wired for that system. You'll just have to purchase it and you can install it and have that upgrade. Here we have our main battery disconnect. This would literally disconnect your battery from your camper. So we want this off when we store our unit unplugged. That way it doesn't drain the power out of our battery when we're not using it. If we store our unit plugged in, we want to have this disconnect on. That way it is charging our battery while we are storing it, ensuring that we have 12 volts the next time we go to use it. Also, if we're camping, anything like that, generally it's power on. So the only time you want it off is when you're storing that unit unplugged. This disconnect will not affect your solar disconnect up here. Your solar panel will still charge those batteries while this disconnect is off. We have our battery storage right here, as you can see, and on our left and right side, we do have our individual jacks for our leveling system. They do have override caps up here at the top. We have another video that goes into information on how to override these, but it's pretty simple. You unplug them, and there's a fitting in here that you put in there, and you can operate it with a drill to run these electric jacks up and down. Now, speaking of our electric jacks, we have the landing gears here in the front. We need to make sure that we have at least 6 holes showing on there whenever we go to put our landing gears down. Otherwise, we may not have enough height on those jacks to level our unit. Over to the right of that front storage compartment, we have our solar on the side plug. This is in the event that we store our unit maybe under some trees or under our cover. We want that solar system still charge that battery. We can buy a separate solar panel, plug it in right here, and that will help charge our system. Here on the driver's side of our unit, first thing we're going to talk about is our electronic leveling system. Our keypad will be in that door right there. We'll go over that now. Here we have our LCI electronic leveling system. This is for our leveling jacks on our unit. Kick it on, and right there on the screen we have our voltage. Voltage is very important on this system. If we don't have a good 12 volts, good battery, this system may not operate correctly. So keep that in mind if you have any faults or issues with the system or errors. Right out the back, when you enter this screen, you can manually go in and start operating your jacks. So when you kick it up and you want to operate just those front leveling jacks, you can just hold that button down. Orange indicator will indicate those are the jacks that are operating. You can also operate them left and right, and same thing if you retract, hold down that retract button and you can hold down the front button and it will drop down. That's only jacks that mode will operate. Right here we'll go into our arrows. This will be what gets you a little bit further. So auto hitch height is after you have auto leveled your unit. So let's say you disconnected from your truck, you went into auto level, and you were done camping. You're going to hit that arrow, go into auto hitch height, press enter, and your unit is going to return to the same position you were in whenever you disconnected your truck, or pretty close to it, so you can back right up to it and your hitch should line right up. Our next mode is our auto retract all. After we have hooked that hitch up, we're locked in and we're sure that that hitch has the kingpin and we're not going to cause that thing to come off or anything like that. We've checked everything. We can go ahead and hit enter, and this will retract all of our jacks on our unit to where we are ready to head to our next destination. Next mode is auto retract rear. This is only going to bring up the rear jacks and leave your front landing gears down. Our next mode is our manual level mode. So if we want to manually level our unit ourselves, we can hit enter, go into this manual mode, and it's going to tell us where our degree marks are as far as how off level we are. So this will change as you level your unit. Now you have control of all of your jacks, your front and your rear, and then you can adjust it left and right. And like I said, you can see those degree marks kind of change as you level out the unit. Once again, if we have gone too far, we need to retract a little bit. We hold down that retract button until it lights up, and then we can operate whatever ones we wish. Now, one thing that you'll notice is if we kick this unit off level, we can notice we now have a flashing light right here. This indicates that the front is low. So if we're doing that manual mode, it just makes it a little bit easier. We go ahead and hold that button down. We can also notice our degree mark is climbing right there. And obviously we've hit 0 here. Now we have an indicator that is green. That's letting us know that the unit is level. Same thing on the outsides here. We have more red lights that will indicate if those angles are unlevel. If we hit it one more time after that manual mode, that brings us to our regular ready screen. The other option is we disconnect from our truck and we go straight into auto level. We just hold that button down and then it's going to go through auto leveling your unit. It's important we don't walk around in our unit during that period. We let it go ahead and level out until it says complete, or you may see this screen right here should have a green light in the middle. If you have any errors, then you'll have to assess that through the troubleshooting. LCI has great literature on what to do. We also have some other videos that go through some steps on that as well. We can also hook to our Bluetooth if we download the LCI One Control app, and we'll look in our compartment door for our password and everything. Once we've downloaded the app, we'll have to insert our VIN number as well as more information on your unit, enter that password, and we can hook to our Bluetooth and operate it from our phone as well. So as we talked about, we do have our little cheat sheet on our LP door that's going to give you information about how to operate that leveling system as well. And we also have that QR code that is for our LCI One Control app, to where we can control some of that system from our phone. We'll find the password and the information for that right there if we want to download it and be able to hook up to our app. Here on this side, we have our propane tank. We're going to have one on each side, and we're also going to see that dual propane regulator controller right there. So the way that works is we'll have both of our tanks on. We have a selector valve up at the top. We turn that selector valve to whichever tank we want to set as our primary tank. We have a gauge up top that's either going to be red or green, and let us know, obviously red being empty and green being full, what the state of that tank is. Now, if this tank that we have selected runs dry, that system is automatically going to kick over and start using that secondary tank. Your indicator up top is going to tell you red because the tank that we have selected is empty and we're pulling off of that secondary tank. So we can swap over to the other tank and get that primary tank refilled. Behind that, we have our pass-through storage. Pass-through storage has our crank handles for our spare tire under our unit. Behind that, we're going to have our convenience center right here. This is where all of our water hookups and our cable hookups are. We're going to go over that operation right now. All right, so here we have our convenience center. We can see up here at the top, we have a quick connect for that blue cold hose. We'll put a spray nozzle on it, have hot and cold water. We have our key TV system right here. That system is powered on, indicated by that blue light right there. We have our satellite hookup. So if we have a tripod satellite or a roaming satellite that we set up outside, we can run that cable into here, and then a cable from the interior Key TV system to our DirecTV or Dish Network receiver, and then HDMI out to our TV to be able to have satellite service. We have our cable hookup right here. So if our campground has cable, we run that in here, hook it here, and then a coax from that cable antenna hookup on the inside to our TV, and we can scan for channels for cable. Now we'll also see this little plug up here. This is for our rooftop satellite. If we decide to have a rooftop satellite installed, that coax is already ran, and you can just plug it into that satellite port. Now here we have all our different functions for how we set up our unit as far as the water goes. We have our dry camping mode right here. Our dry camping is if we are pulling from our tank, our fresh tank system. So before we get into that, we want to talk about our power fill. So we have the onboard fresh tank system. In order to go into that power fill mode, we'll have to turn our fixtures like this. We hook up to our city water connection right here, turn the water on, and it's going to begin to fill that tank. We can monitor that by the panel on the interior. We'll go over that in a little while. And once we've filled that tank, and let's say we're out dry camping, we need water because we don't have a city water connection, we're going to go to that dry camping mode right here, turn those knobs to that setting, kick on the 12-volt water pump, and then we will have water out of that tank supplied to our fixtures. Now the next one is our city water connection. Our city water connection, obviously if we have a faucet hookup at the campground, we're going to hook it to that city water connection right here, and we're going to turn the valves to that position, and we turn the faucet on. That's going to supply water to our fixtures. Next mode is our winterize mode. Winter time, we're getting ready to winterize our unit so the water doesn't freeze in our lines. We have these low point drains right here. We'll open these up. We'll drain the water out of our system, and then we will go into winterization. Now there's more involved to this. You need to check your owner's manual for this particular unit, and we also have other videos on it, but this is the basics on how winterize works with these functions. So we're going to put it in winterize mode, which is this. We're going to hook a water hose up to this connection and put the other end in our winterization jug, which is RV antifreeze. We're going to kick the water pump on, and then that is going to send the RV antifreeze into our pipes. We turn our faucets on until we get that antifreeze coming out. Then we shut them off one by one. We want to fill our entire system with antifreeze so it does not freeze and damage any pipes. Our last option on here is siphon sanitize to tank via pump. This is to sanitize our fresh tank. We would do a mixture of water and bleach, and we would insert that into our tank via that siphon pump from our city water connection, fill that tank, and then we could also pump into our water lines on our unit and fill those up, and that would sanitize all of our lines. Supposed to keep it in there for about 4 hours. If you go to your owner's manual under sanitization, it will give you a lot more information on that, as well as recommended bleach to water mixtures that you can use to sanitize your system. As we talked about here, this is our city water connection. It's where we would hook that water hose up from a faucet to provide water to all of our fixtures or to fill our tank. We also have here our black tank flush. This black tank flush leads to a jet port inside your black tank to help flush out that system when you're dumping it. We'll go over more information on that when we get over to our tanks. Here at the bottom, that option to be able to run all of these lines into here. That way we can still shut our compartment door. On this unit, we're going to notice that we do have a second black tank flush on here because we do have 2 black tanks on this system. Behind our convenience center, we have our exhaust for our furnace right here. And whenever we operate that gas appliance, we're going to have some hot air come out of there, and that little furnace vent is going to be a little warm. And behind that, we have our Suburban tankless water heater system. Same thing, gas operated device. It's going to exhaust out of here, and we're going to have a little warmth to that exhaust. Next on the line is our 50 amp twist lock power cord. We can go ahead and turn right to lock that system in. Of course, we have a little retainer ring to keep it from popping out and keeping it from being loose and arcing out. If we want to pull that system off, we loosen that ring, twist it to the left, and we pull it out. We want to plug this in first, and we also want to make sure that our AC system is shut off. That way when we do plug it into our power pole, that we are not causing any surges, or when we unplug it, same thing, we're not interrupting the current procedure. So just below our power cord, we're going to see two labels, our black tank and our gray tank. And if we look under our J-wrap coming out of our frame, we have two valves. So just below our power cord here, we see a couple of labels. We have our black tank and our gray tank. If we look directly under that, under our J-wrap, we have our valves, our black tank and our gray tank. Follow a little further down the frame, and we're going to have one more valve under our slide out. If we look on that label, that is another gray tank. So our last one is our other black tank. That's going to be further down the line. We'll show you that one in a minute. But if we look a little bit further under here, we have our port for that system. That port is where we'll hook up our sewer hose, and we'll go to our dump station or at our site if we have a sewer hookup there. And our gray tank system, that's going to be our shower and sink water. We can leave that open all the time, let that water drain out so we don't have to come out here and keep dumping it every time. Our black tank, however, that is our sewage. That's everything coming straight from the toilet going in there. That one we want to leave closed until we are ready to drain and flush that system. Whenever that time comes, we have our hose hooked up, we pull that black tank valve, and we let everything drain out of it. During that time, we hook our water hose up to our black tank flush. If we're doing our first black tank here, we're going to go to black tank flush 1. That's what this one is going to go to, and we kick that on. That's a spray nozzle that's going to shoot into that tank towards this valve right here and help flush that system out. Now, it's not going to cover the whole tank. It's going to do a pretty good job, but it's not going to cover everything. So a little pro tip here is we can close that black tank valve off for about 60 seconds, let it fill up with a little bit of water, and then pull that valve again. Do that a few times, and we'll get that tank a little bit better flushed out. Now, we want to use that cautiously, because if we leave it closed for an extended period of time, it's going to fill that black tank up, and then it's going to overflow out of our toilet and cause damages. So keep that in mind. We can also monitor the level from our touchscreen on the inside. So use that tip cautiously. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, just leave that valve open, and that black tank flush will go ahead and clean it out like that safely. Now, another thing about our black tanks is we always want to keep water in there. If we were to leave that valve open all the time, of course those solids are going to dry up in there, and it's going to be a big issue. But we want to leave it closed, and we want to have some water in that system. So a couple gallons of water. We do that after we have flushed out our system, close the valve, go over to our toilet and just hold that pedal down and add water to our tank, and then we can drop some chemicals in there. Want to make sure we're using RV toilet paper only, nothing else, so it degrades properly as well, and those chemicals can help clean that system out and keep it smelling good. Also, just in front of our axles on our unit, we have a white pipe sticking out with a valve on it. That valve will empty out your fresh tank system. So if we're done with our onboard storage water, we want to go open that valve, we can drain everything out there. Remember that we carry that water with us, that's added weight to our unit, and we don't want to keep it if we don't need it, and also it's unsanitary to keep that water in there for an extended period of time. So open that valve up, drain it out. We don't want to keep using that same old stale water. Now here we are in between our living room slide and our rear bedroom slide. This is where our second black tank and gray tank is for that rear bathroom. Once again, another hose will hook up right here and go to our dump station. Our black tank flush 2 will flush out this tank. We have our two valves coming out of our frame right here. It's labeled on the outside wall, which is which. Once again, black tank, keep it closed all the time until you're ready to dump, and our gray tank we can leave open and drain into our sewage system. On the back of your unit, once again, you are pre-wired with that backup camera system to go along with the tri-cameras. If you only want to put a backup camera on here without the two side cameras on there, you can certainly do that. Once again, you're pre-wired for the power there. And we have our receiver hitch back here set up and ready to tow. And you'll also find a 4-way plug sticking out under there as well for a trailer. Just know what that weight rating is on that hitch. You also equipped with a factory ladder on the back to gain access to the roof of our unit. We need to do this because after trips, you need to get up there and check that rubber. Any low-lying trees or anything that might have scraped the rubber and damaged it, we need to get on top of that real quick so we don't have any water entry. And we also need to check our sealant around all of our vents and our side trims. Same thing on the walls right here. We have silicone here around our lights, windows, anywhere where there was a hole put in the side of the unit or on the roof, we're going to have sealant around it. We need to check all these things every 60 to 90 days to make sure that it's being maintained properly. We don't have any peeling, cracking, or anything like that that could allow water entry. If we do, that is considered customer maintenance, so that would be on the customer to have to flip the bill for the damages. Manufacturers require every 60 to 90 days for those sealants to be checked and maintained. It's like changing the oil in your car, so we want to make sure we stay on top of it so it'll last for years to come. Here on the passenger side of our unit, we have our second propane tank right here. We open that door, we see that right here. We have our pass-through storage. Flip that up, clip it, lock it, and we have big opening for our pass-through storage here. We can see right here we have a cover. It's going to say In Command on it. That is the brains for our In Command system, which is that touch screen on the inside. It does have some overrides on that board. We can go in there unless you're talking to a Keystone or In Command technician or one of our technicians on how to override that system unless you're familiar with it. So keep that in mind. Don't go digging around in there if you don't need to. Here we have our Key TV system. Our Key TV system, once again, we have the ports on the other side where we hook the cable campground to it or our external satellite, whatever. This is our output for it. So we can put an outdoor TV over here. We can hook up for cable or antenna and run a coax straight to that TV. Or we have our satellite port that will run to a receiver first for either DirecTV or Dish Network, and then an HDMI out to our TV. We have our 110 receptacle right here that is GFCI protected. If that isn't working, that GFCI protected outlet or any of our outlets on our unit that say GFCI, we're going to go to the plug-in, usually in our bathroom or kitchen. We'll show you when we get to the inside and reset that outlet. They'll trip if they have too many skillets or coffee pots or anything burned in, plugged in, they'll overamp it, or if those plugs get wet, it'll trip it out as well. Back to our Key TV system real quick. Any old school campers, you know that you had an antenna boost button that you had to go turn off and on when you swap between antenna and cable. Well, with Key TV system, you have that no more. You can just swap between antenna and cable and scan for channels without having to find that button and turn it off and on. If you're a new camper and you don't know anything about that button, don't worry about it. On the very rear compartment of our unit, we have our little outdoor fridge, 110 operated dorm fridge. Anytime we plug our unit in, this component is going to turn on, the freezer is going to freeze, the fridge is going to cool, and I tell you that because of this. When we unplug our unit, that fridge is also going to defrost. That's going to leave us with moisture and water inside that fridge. We want to make sure we wipe all of that out. If that water were to drain out of the gasket on this door and get this wood cabinet wet, it's going to destroy it, and manufacturers are not going to cover that under warranty. So make sure we're cleaning that fridge after it defrosts, and it's also going to help to reduce the opportunity for mold and mildew. Now we have two entry doors. Our rear one goes into our bathroom. Our front one goes into our living room kitchen area. The following information is going to be the same for both. Our entry door, will notice it does have some resistance to it. That is our friction controlled hinges right here to keep that door from slamming shut or open, letting the wind take control of it, and we don't have to worry about having any damages thanks to that. We also have our Lippert solid steps. To store our Lippert solid steps, we want to make sure our entry door is open all the way. We flip those steps up, have this little yellow lever, push it to the side. We lock it in, we can give it a little tug, make sure that it's locked in, and close our entry door. To pull them down, we pull that lever again, we'll bring our steps down, and we're ready to go. Now make sure after you auto level your unit, you come over here and level your steps. That can be done by adjusting these legs. On the bottom, we'll see a pin right here we can pull out, and we can adjust our legs up and down to make sure we have a nice level walkway to get into our unit. We also want to do this because we want to make sure that our door doesn't make contact with our frame of our steps, causing any damage to either. We're also going to notice here in the front, under our J-wrap, right under our door when it's open, We're going to see a little LP quick connect. This is for an external grill. If you want to put a grill out here under your awning, it can feed off of the propane on your tanks. We also have our 12-volt controlled awning on our touchscreen. We hit that button and run our awning in and out. Also 12-volt awning lights right there to light up under it. Now our awning is a sunshade only. It's not intended to shield us from the rain, and we need to make sure that anytime we have a weather event rolling in, wind, rain, whatever, we go ahead and pull that awning in unless it's a nice pretty day outside. Be cautious because any damages that occur due to that, it's going to be covered under your insurance, not your warranty. So that means you're going to have a deductible to pay, and it's kind of a mess to have to clean that up. So make sure you see other people rolling your awning in, roll it in, and if we leave our unit for an extended period of time, roll that awning in just to be safe. Now another thing we need to know about our awning is we need to pitch it to the front or pitch it to the back, one way or another, to allow any runoff from our AC. Our AC is going to have condensation on it. It's going to have water that runs off into the rail, and it has potential to get on our awning and pull up. We'll also do this any light dew that might get on our awning, whatever, we want that water to be able to run off. Now in order to do that real easy, we can go to either arm. Of course this arm is the easiest because we have our steps here, but if you want to do the front, you can do that as well. We grab it right here at this pivot point and we just pull down, and that now pitches our awning to where it can run off. When we're ready to roll our awning in, just give a little push up, and that the awning can now be rolled in. We do have another awning behind this slide out right here. Works the same exact way. We need to pitch that one as well. Now all of our slide outs, I'll point out since we could see it right here and right here, we do have cables on the side of our slides. This signifies that all of our slide outs are cable driven slides. If we want more information on our cable-driven slide system, we do have a video for that in our helpful hack section. Right when we walk into our door, we're going to see head on our 110 and 12-volt control center here. This is where we're going to find our 12-volt fuses off to the right and our 110 breakers right here. These are all labeled so you know what components they operate, and if something's not working right, this is the first place you want to go. Check our breakers, make sure they're not tripped, check our fuses, and make sure they're not blown. We'll also see right at our entry door, we have a little light bar here. We can flip it to number 1, and that light bar will be on all the time. If we flip it to number 2, it will automatically turn off and on. We'll see this little sensor right here at the bottom. That sensor is a motion sensor. So it'll shut off at night. If it senses any movement, that light will kick back on. You also notice a few of the bubble lights throughout your unit will have this sensor on there too. Same exact setting. Number 1 is on all the time. Number 2, it'll turn off unless it senses motion. In our hallway next to our smoke detector, we'll see a little cap right there. That cap, it can be removed and we can install a router from WineGuard. That router will amplify Wi-Fi signal at the campground and give us better Wi-Fi range, and we can also upgrade it with a SIM card with a cellular provider to give us Wi-Fi wherever we go, and it can also upgrade your antenna to free HD TV channels as well. In our hallway, we can see a couple controls. We have our in-command touchscreen center. This is where we're going to operate a bunch of our options. We hit the home screen here, and our default password, unless you changed it, is 0000. Now on our main screen, if we click that top bar right there, we can see all the levels of our tanks. We can monitor that there, or we can just monitor it from that screen as well. Those bars will fill up as those tanks fill up or empty. And next is our awnings. Click on awning. We can extend and retract our awnings as well as control our awning lights. And we have our slides, same thing, in and out for all of our slides. We have our lights. This will control just some of the lights in our unit, not all of them. Some of them may be on some switches like this throughout our unit. Our next is our climate. This is going to control our AC systems. So we can see here we're in our front bedroom AC. We have our mode off, then our mode fan. Fan is just going to distribute air through our unit. It's not going to make it cool or hot or anything. It's just going to move air through our unit through our ducted AC system. Our fan can go from low or high, whichever one we choose. Our set point doesn't matter because once again it's not going to change the temperature. We have our next option is cool. Our cool mode will cool the air in our unit, and we have our option for auto, which will shut that fan off whenever our compressor is shut down, and it will kick that fan back on when our compressor kicks back on. Now, if we want that fan to stay on all the time, we hit that fan button one more time, and we can choose either low or high, and that system will stay on no matter whether the compressor is cooling the air or not. Now we have our set point right here. This is what we want our temperature to be. We can change that by hitting our arrows here on the side. Our zone temperature is going to be the actual temperature in our unit at that time. Hit that mode again, and it's going to go to off. Now, your unit may have multiple ACs. This one has 3, so we're going to see this is our main AC. This is going to cover our living room area, and then of course we'll also have a rear bedroom AC. That rear bedroom AC is going to have the exact same options as our front AC, but our main AC is going to have that fan, cool, and now a heat option. That heat option is for our gas furnace. Our gas furnace is going to kick on, and it doesn't have fan speed, so you can ignore the fan portion of it. It's just going to kick on. It has 1 speed, and now our gas furnace is going to initiate and heat our unit. Same thing, we choose our set points. Our zone is going to be our zone for where that AC is located, which is, in this one, it's our living room, and it will go ahead and run our system. Now, one thing that this system also has is a little scheduler here at the bottom. If we hit that clock, we can go ahead and personalize when we want our unit to turn off and on, just like we would at our house. Now, if we hit that button, that mode button one more time, it brings us into auto. So if you're down in the south like we are, it may start off at 50 degrees in the morning, and it's going to be up to 75 later. So we can go ahead and choose our set point temperature, and it'll alternate between the gas furnace and the air conditioner system to keep just that main area settled and around that whatever the set temperature that you have for that area. We hit our back button, and then of course we have our off mode if we want to shut that system down. We hit our back button, that brings us back to that main screen, and we can go into settings. Now settings, some of these we're not going to touch on because I'm going to suggest you don't necessarily go into them unless you have a tech on the phone. You can mess up more than what you help with some of this stuff, so try not to explore too much. Our Bluetooth option here, we can go into our pairing mode and connect to our Bluetooth on our phone if we download that In Command app and operate some of these systems from our phone. If we click on this screen, it'll show us what connected devices we have. Our next is Wi-Fi. I want to hook this to our Wi-Fi. We can go ahead and put in that information there. If it detects that Wi-Fi signal, we have our passcode, which would be that main passcode. Right when you open up that screen, we can hit 000 because that's our current one. We can change our password, and we can also clear any passwords that are on here to where you don't have one. Floor plan, that's one of those ones I wouldn't worry about. Edit, wouldn't worry about it. Notifications, click on notifications. This will give you an alert. So if your battery drops below 10.8, or if you want to change it to 11 volts, whatever, then you can do that, and it will give you a notification if you're not plugged into 110. Of course, that battery power is going to start to deplete. This will notify you when it gets to that certain level. Our fresh tank system, as it empties out, if we want it to let us know if we are down to 1/3, then it can let us know, hey, your fresh tank's almost empty. Your black tank system, this is a good one to know. If you're reaching 2/3 or 3/3 full, it's going to alert you and let you know that that system is full, and you can do that for all of your tanks. If we hit that arrow down, we're going to have calibration. Stay out of that. Brightness, you can adjust the brightness on your display. Information, software, Global Connect, keep all that stuff out unless the technician is telling you to go into it. Our settings, date and time, we can go in there and change our settings, but I'll tell you, as soon as you disconnect your 12-volt battery, the system is going to reset. So unless you're a full timer, I wouldn't worry about it. We also have language, and that's pretty much it. You don't want to mess with too much else on there. Back to our home screen here, we have our cheat sheet to give us our current battery level. We'll see we're at 13.6. That means our batteries are charging. Anytime you have that plug-in outside, plugged into an outlet, then our converter system should be kicked in, and we're showing a charging voltage here. Converter system is basically just a battery charger. It's changing 110 voltage to 12 volts to help charge up that system. We also have our water pump option right here. We click on that. Our water pump is going to kick on and distribute water from our fresh tank to all of our fixtures on our unit. We're only going to use that if we don't have that city water connection. We're only going to turn that water pump on if we don't have that city water connection. If we have a city water connection, leave that water pump off. Also, if our fresh tank is empty, leave that water pump off. Have a quick button right there to go to our interior lights and shut them off as well. Of course, we have a couple light switches to operate some different things in our unit, our kitchen lights and so on. As we move up above our command center, we have our heated holding tank system right here. This is for if you're in extreme cold weather, you can kick these on and this will heat the holding tanks on your unit to make sure that the water in there does not freeze. So here we have our Suburban water heater controller. This is once again a tankless unit. You have your water hooked up, you turn the hot water on. It's not going to give you any indicators on here that that system is operating. All you do is come here and change your temperature to whatever you desire on your system. And once it stops blinking, it is set and locked in. Now you do have a recirculation button right here that's just going to recirculate water through that system. It's kind of an efficiency deal. If your unit may not be equipped with this, there's only certain models that have this, so just because it comes on does not mean that your unit has that option. Over to our right, we have our Max Air fan controller for our kitchen. We can kick that on. That has speeds 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, our vent will have to be open in order for that to operate. We'll hold down vent open and vent closed to open and close it, and fan off to shut that fan down. This little black piece right here, this is actually our thermostat for our main area. This is where it's going to sense our temperature for the main hallway and living room area. Here we are in our bathroom. In our bathroom, of course, we have our shower. Our shower does have glass doors, and we have a little travel latch on either side that we need to go ahead and latch those latches on the door to make sure that the glass does not break as we're traveling down the road. Our shower, pretty standard. We got our hot and cold nozzles on our shower head. Of course, we also have an on-off button here. That on-off button is to be used when we are dry camping, meaning we don't have either a sewage connection outside to be able to dump our water, or maybe we don't have water connection and we're trying to reserve the amount of water we are using out of our fresh tank. So either way, we're trying to reserve water, right? It's just an easy, convenient way of doing it rather than, you know, we shower up and we're ready to lather. We would shut that water off, so you can shut it off at the shower head rather than having to mess with the faucets and then have to find that sweet spot for the hot water again. You just shut it off here, lather up, and when you're ready to rinse, kick it back on the shower head and rinse off. Your option whether you want to use it that way or not. I will give you a quick hint when you do kick it back on, point it at the wall because it's going to be a little cold when it first comes out. If you're using city water connection, don't worry about it. Just use it like you would a regular shower and however you want to do it. So we also have our RV toilet in here. Our RV toilet is to be used like a septic system, okay? We're only putting 2 things in there. Our number 1, our number 2, and then, well, we're using toilet paper. So RV toilet paper only. This is to make sure that it degrades properly. If we put anything else in this system, then that doesn't belong in there. It's going to get clogged up in our pipes. It's going to get clogged up in the drain, and you're going to have a lot of problems. So keep that in mind. Number 1, just liquids, right? We're going to hit that valve down at the bottom, and we're going to dump our system. Number 2, we need to fill this bowl up about halfway. We can go ahead and barely depress that pedal, and our bowl will start filling up with water. And we do this, we want to make sure that we barely depress it so that ball valve at the bottom does not open up and drain the water that we're putting in it right back out. And that is to help flush those solids down the drain. If we don't do that, it's going to get clogged up, it's going to cause some issues, and it's a real pain to have to clean that out. So make sure we're putting enough water in there to flush those solids into the black tank. RV toilet paper only, we talked about that, and we also need to put chemicals in our tank. If we don't put chemicals in there, that stuff's not going to degrade properly and it's not going to smell good either. So make sure we're putting chemicals in. Generally, you're going to put that through the toilet Remember also, after we flush our black tank system, leave a couple of gallons of water in here. You can do that after you close your valve off, and you hold this pedal down and just flush straight water down that system. Add some chemicals to it after that. Also in our bathroom, we have our GFCI receptacle. That GFCI receptacle is connected to all the other ones that have a little sticker on it that say GFCI protected. If those outlets aren't working, it may be due to they got wet because they're in wet locations. It may be due to we put too many griddles and coffee pots and everything else on there and we've tripped out the system. Either way, if it's not working, come right over here. It's going to have a little light on it. That light is generally green, meaning that everything is okay. If everything is okay and those outlets are working, or it's going to be, so if that's the case on this system, then everything's working, it's fine. If you don't see that green light on, you want to hit that little reset button on there, and that will reset that outlet and provide power back to the other ones. If it trips right away, go unplug some stuff and also make sure there's no water on the outlets, blow them out, whatever, and then come over here and try to reset it again. You're also going to have another button on there called the test button. You can hit that button and it will automatically trip that outlet to where you have to reset it again. The light will go off, and that's to test that system and make sure it's working properly. We also have a 12-volt fan in here. That 12-volt fan is our exhaust. Anytime we take a shower in here, want to use that fan and get the steam out of here, the humidity out of here. That way you don't end up with any mold or mildew in this bathroom. Here we are in our front bedroom. We have our AC. This is our front AC. We do have a filter in here. If we turn these two little black knobs, that filter will come out. We need to either clean it or we need to replace it. Also notice our air ducts in here. That is where our air will move out of our unit. This is where it sucks in, and that is where it comes out. Our bedroom also has another key TV system in here for our satellite and antenna hookups. We can put our backer for our TV mounted on that wall, have on-off switch for our lights. In this closet right here, we do have hookups for a washer dryer install. We have that hot and cold water as well as our drain pipe and a sticker indicating where we would drill a hole to put our vent for the dryer. We do have storage under the bed right here. Kick that up. We have some strong arms that'll hold that up, and we can put some items in here. Here we are in the kitchen area. We have our 110 Furrion microwave, and we can have a fan and a light on here. That fan is going to exhaust air from our cooktop out into the outside. We have this glass cover for it. We can get more counter space out of it, and this is also how it needs to be when we travel so it doesn't fall and break the glass. When we use our burner, we need to flip it up. We have our 3 burners right here. We have our options right there in the middle as far as which burner we're going to use. We choose that burner, we turn it to the flame, and then we're going to hit ignite, and then that flame is going to light up. Now, always encourage customers after you pull your unit out of storage or you change your propane tanks, this is the first place you want to go whenever you turn that system on, because you're going to have air in your lines. It's going to make it difficult for water heaters, furnaces, all that stuff to kick on the first time because of the air in the system. They're going to go into a fault, and it just makes things complicated. So the easiest thing to do is come over to this cooktop right here, and we're going to burn the air out by doing exactly that. Turn it to the flame icon, light it, and just let it run for about 30 to 60 seconds. At that point, we're going to have a nice crisp blue flame here, no orange poppy stuff. That lets us know that the air is out of the system. Then we can go in and operate our furnace and stuff like that. Now, our oven, on the other hand, is not quite as simple. It has a smaller hole, and it takes a little bit longer for the air to bleed through that system. But I always suggest to customers you can either do it the manual way, or you can take a long stem lighter the first time you light it and hold it back there at the pilot. A little bit harder to do because you don't have as much room, but it's under that bottom tray right there. And we will go to our oven knob right here. We will turn it to the flame option, and then we will go ahead and start hitting that manual lighter right there. And we need to be pushing down on that oven knob to make sure that it is pushing gas through. Once that pilot lights under there, you have to look down there and see, once that pilot lights, we're going to hold this button down for still another 30 to 60 seconds, and we're warming up that thermocouple. Once we are satisfied that we have held it long enough, then we turn it to a temperature. You're going to see that burner tube now light up and begin to warm our oven. If it goes out whenever we pull off of that knob, then we just need to go back and relight it, hold it down for a little bit longer, and then initiate the burner tube by turning it to our temperature. Once again, you can use a long stem lighter if you don't want to use the manual light, whatever, it is up to you. Now we're also going to notice on our oven here, we do have red indicators right here that lets us know that that knob is initiated, gas is being expelled out into the atmosphere, and we need to turn it off if it's not lit. Nice little feature there. That operates whether we flip this switch on, we have the blue lighting on here, it will still light up red when we initiate it, or if those lights are off, once again, still going to light up red. If we flip that switch down, it's going to light up these in our oven down at the bottom. All right, so here we have our Furrion residential fridge. We have a freezer on this side, fridge on this side, and we have our control center right here. We can see that we have our couple of options. We have fridge, freezer, function, and lock. In order to change into these functions, we need to make sure that lock icon is gone. So we can do that by holding down on the word itself, not the icon. Eventually that will go away. Now we can change the temperature on our fridge and freezer if we wish by pressing, once again, the words, not the numbers. Now we have a couple of functions on here. The first function is a little umbrella with a sun on it. That is our vacation mode option. That is going to be considered to be off-grid. So it's going to reduce the amount of work that compressor is doing. That way we're not using as much power. Let's say that we're working off of our batteries and we don't want to use as much power, so we want to put that in that vacation mode. This screen will auto lock itself, so if you open it back up and you're messing with it, you may see that lock icon come back on. We just hold that button once again. Our next mode is a little snowflake. That is our super freeze mode. That's going to drop the temperature down more on our freezer and help cool, super freeze whatever we might have put in there, right? Our next one is a little drop with a snowflake on it, and that is going to be our fridge cold mode. So our super cold mode for our fridge side, same thing. We can activate those both individually or at the same time. We keep clicking them and all of them will go away. Now once everything's gone, that would just be normal operation and we can go ahead and adjust that temperature whatever we want. The other ones are set already for those modes. Now we're also going to have an option on here if we store our unit, we want to put it in, they call it a low power mode. It's basically turning everything off. If we hold down that lock button once again to unlock it and we hold down the function for 5 seconds, the system is going to turn off. We'll notice some dashes right here. That shuts your compressor off. That shuts the lights off inside the fridge. That's basically how we turn this system off. So if we're storing our unit, we want to shut it down. We also want to defrost this freezer, get any water out of it, moisture, anything like that. Same thing for our fridge. There's no drain tubes on these, so that water is all it's going to do is leak out. Make sure we put towels on the floor, wipe all of it out because that can cause damage to any wood components around it. So make sure we're maintaining this properly. You're also going to have a little travel knob for your refrigerator to help ensure that your goods don't fall out. Take that, screw that into that hole up top, and you tighten that down while you're in travel to keep those doors from opening. On our island, we have a COLP detector. This is to alert you of any cautious gases that may enter your unit and let you know that you need to exit it. The alarm will go off and notify you. Now we do need to test this alarm every now and again. Hold down that button right there. You'll hear the chirp go off and let you know that it is operating there. It is a 12-volt operated safety device. You'll see a little green light on that CO letting you know that, hey, it's on. These lights will light up and flash in the event that it is alerting. It also has an expiration date. These last about 5 years. We need to check the expiration date. Either it's going to be printed on the front or we need to unscrew it and it'll be stamped onto the back of it, letting us know when that expiration date is. You also have a smoke detector in your unit. You need to check the 9-volt battery in there to make sure that device is powered up properly, and we need to hit the test button on that and make sure it works too. For our entertainment, of course, we have our TV. We have that key TV outlet on the back for satellite cable or antenna for our TV options as well. We have a Furrion soundbar here. If you're on soundbar, is going to have zones 1 and 2 to control our interior and exterior speakers, whether we want them off or on. We have our radio function on here. We also have Bluetooth we can hook up to, and we have an HDMI port on the front. If we have a gaming system, we can plug in, and then on the back it has a HDMI that can go to the TV, so you don't have to pull the TV out to hook that up, whatever you prefer. We also have our 110 operated fireplace down here at the bottom. If we don't like gas heat, we want to use the electric, we can kick that on and heat up the area. We'll go over the operation of that next. Here we have our fireplace. We have a sensor right up here in the top right. We have to aim that remote at to turn it on. We have our Celsius and Fahrenheit temperature we can change to. And right here, this little flame icon is going to change the dimness of our flame. If we want to change the lighting of our flame, we hit the light bulb on the screen down here at the bottom, and it'll give you some different options right there. If we want to operate our heater on a timer, once again, electric heater, it is going to be this button right here. It looks like a clock, and when we push it, we can see some times pop up: 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, all the way up to 8, and then it will go to 0 hours, letting you know that that timer is off. If we want to change our temperature, we'll use one of these 2 buttons at the bottom, and we can see once again we have a temperature down there, and we will go ahead and raise it until it kicks on, or lower it, we want it to kick off, or we can keep going until it says on, and that heater will stay running all the time. We kick it up one more time and it's going to say OF, meaning that that system is off. Not much to go over in our bunkhouse area. We do have another key TV connection in here for a TV in here, and our second half bath. Our half bath does have another GFCI outlet in there, we can notice, and we do have a toilet in there. All of that's going to operate just like our middle bathroom. We do also have an AC in here. Our rear AC does have a filter on it, just like our front bedroom. We'll need to check and maintain that properly as well.
Well, we hope you found that resourceful, but wait, there's more information on our Great American RV YouTube channel. This channel right here, find the playlist Hap's Helpful Hacks. We go over different products in this unit, and we'll take a deeper dive with more diagnostics, more information, as well as helpful tips when you're out camping. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, like, share, subscribe, do all those awesome things on YouTube, TikTok, wherever you found us, and keep watching here at Great American RV Superstores, where we bring the how-to you.